Hi, everyone. I'm Marla Miller from marlamiller.com, and I'm presenting, I think it's like my fifth podcast under the umbrella of authors and content creators talking to Marla Miller. I added content creators because I have become such a fan of what people are doing out here. And I know
Mhm.
that many people who are doing it didn't even start it until, they were a bit older, perhaps 40, when they got the idea that, oh, what I was doing back then, I can apply
Mhm.
to content creation now. And I think the same is true of writers. I didn't even start writing for publications until I was 38 years old. And
Mhm.
didn't do much until I quit my job in the hospital, which was like at about 41 or 42. I know from my own experience of freelance writing for many years now, I started in 1990, that my prior career in psychiatric nursing has informed, I would say, at least 80% of what I write, including Deadly Little Secrets that is set in a hospital setting, and it is told by nurses, a bunch of them. And it's a medical mystery that all came from my years as a psychiatric nurse practitioner. And I could go on, and I'm going to because I'm starting a magazine on Substack that's going to be offering my clips and then a little editorial aimed at new writers to hopefully help them out because they don't have the magazines that we had back then. Um, I mentioned Deadly Little Secrets, and I have to tell you that my guest today, I've known for many years. We started teaching at the Southern California Writers Conference back in, I don't know, like 2005 or six. And we've done workshops together there. She does solo workshops. I do solo workshops. But when I was looking for an editor for Deadly Little Secrets, and this was back in 2013, I asked Jen. And so she was my editor for this book that I have now published in paperback because I finally got the nerve. And I'm going to be talking about that too as time goes on. But right now, I want to introduce a longtime friend and an editor and
Mhm.
an author. She wrote a memoir, uh, Honeymoon at Sea, which is just adorable. I mean, she lives on a boat and she lives with her husband, who's a screenwriter. And I welcome her to authors and content creators talking to Marla Miller. Wait, welcome, Jen. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you
All
very
right,
much. I
so
appreciate it.
this is
Obviously
focused
not
on,
on a boat.
no,
Just
you're
have
not
to
on a
say
boat
that. I'm
now.
not on a
No,
boat
no,
this week, house sitting for a friend.
gotcha. Um,
It's a huge boat.
Yes, well, it's big enough for the two of you to sail up and down and go to
Yes.
Mexico, et
Perfect.
cetera, et cetera. It's an interesting book, folks, and if you're
Yes.
listening to
Yes.
this, pick up her memoir. And she's the other thing that I wanted to talk about in my introduction to you, and I forgot, is that you're getting really popular on Substack. And so if you're looking for an
Mhm.
editor, go to Substack and follow. What are you under there? Your name, or is
Editor on
it?
board.
Okay, editor on board. And this is
Editor on board.
Jennifer Silva Redmond,
Yeah.
is author, editor, a friend, workshop leader, and she's going to talk to us about her midlife shift. Although it happened a little bit earlier than midlife. So tell us the story, Jen.
Yeah. Uh, but the midlife shift was the important thing, I think. And at 28, I left 14 years of being an actor. I'd been an actor since I was a teenager,
Hmm.
professionally, and had been living in New York, working in soaps off Broadway, off Broadway, I should say. And I got married to my longtime honey, and we decided to go sailing in Mexico. That doesn't have anything to do with anything except that I realized that I love that lifestyle and I didn't
Yeah.
want to go back to being an actor. But fast forward to when I started working at a small publisher,
Hmm.
what I realized is the hardest part of selling books is the marketing. It's not finding good stories. There's lots of great stories out there, lots of authors who are talented, lots of places to sell the books. What's hard is letting the people that want good books know about the books. So it's marketing and promotion. And I realized that my experience as an actor was exactly what I needed, being able to go out and talk to people. It's so that just those two things just
Communication.
work together
Sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
I could tell a story. I could get up in front of a group of people. I could sell the idea of a
Yeah.
book. I sell the tell a story.
Mhm.
I've been a storyteller all my life, but being able to talk in front of people and being able to entertain them made all the difference.
Absolutely.
And
I did not have stage experience, but I'm, I'm a shy person, as many writers are. I'm shy personally, but I'm not shy if you put me in front of a group. I don't know
right,
why. I've just never been very shy. And it's probably why
right,
I love TikTok because I'm all over TikTok. And
yeah,
it's because, I like to press the record button and then, do my thing. And sometimes
yeah,
it's about writing, but a lot of times it's about social psychology, which is what my expertise is in. And if there was ever a time to be observing social psychology, it's
right.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It,
I always, if I see you have a news story on TikTok, I always click on it. It's not just because I know you and like you. It's like I know that I'm always going to go, oh yeah, I never thought of that, or oh yeah, you're right, yeah, totally, or
yeah.
whatever. It's always intriguing.
I have to
So
tell you that I have tried and I am continuing to try. And I know TikTok is this and it's that, and people own it that we don't like, blah, 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 blah. But I feel that way about all social media, all of it.
yeah,
So I don't
yeah,
trust one more than
no,
the
they're great.
other. But I will say that in my TikTok social commentary that's informed by, my background in psych, I really am trying to appeal to people who voted for a person that,
Yeah,
most of them now know that they shouldn't have voted for. And I'm not
right.
doing it by screaming and yelling because that's all we do with each other. I'm trying to be a reasonable, older,
Thoughtful,
yeah, teacher like, have you thought about this?
right,
So, and there's no other platform for me
right,
that allows me to do that so easily and quickly as TikTok.
exactly.
So that's why I'm on it. But let's
You know,
talk a little, go ahead, because I want to
it
talk
just
about,
occurred to me
yeah, go
that
ahead.
your background in psychology and is very similar to having a background in theater because theater is all about empathizing, being in
Yes.
somebody else's body, mind, thoughts, right? So walking in somebody's shoes,
Yeah.
literally. So if you can understand, because for any actor you've ever heard that's played a terrible person, they've always said, oh, they're the most interesting because I have to make myself like them so that you'll find them interesting. If I just play them, I'm going to play a bad guy. No one gets up in the morning, not even the worst people in the world, get up in the morning, I'm going to go be evil. I'm going to go
Yeah.
be terrible. They all think they're doing something amazing and wonderful. Even the terrible people who prey on others, they do it because they think, oh, anybody should be glad to be preyed on by me, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I used to
Right? I
believe
mean,
that
I'm
there were,
fascinated, but what I guess I'm just saying, I find I always took psychology classes when I had the chance because I'm interested in what makes people tick, what makes people do the things they do. And I think that is what makes it interesting to do promotion and marketing and get out and talk about art, because that's
good
what we're all
point.
talking about,
Yeah.
content, books,
Yeah.
music, whatever. It's all art in some way. And say, hey, have you ever thought about this story? Have you ever thought about this point of view? Have you ever thought about this window into life? And be, oh yeah, that would be interesting. Kind of
I would say that
psychology.
I would add to that there was a time when I used to believe that there weren't really that people weren't born evil. I don't know that I believe that anymore. I mean, I do think that there are
Right.
some people out there that are just absolutely so toxic. And so them, I ignore them. But I
Right.
want the people who, perhaps are undereducated. I want the
Yeah.
people who has some interest in empathy, humanity. And
Yeah.
I don't believe that the people on the other side are all of one color. I just don't believe it. I
Mm-mm.
believe that,
No.
they come to it from. So that's what I like to do or try to do
Yeah.
using my mental health background in social media. Although I do like to punch occasionally, but that's only if I really feel like those people are evil, and then I will
Yeah.
punch and then I'll block, because it's just my nature. I'm Italian. I can't help it. I was born to be. I wasn't born to be a victim. I was,
Right, right.
and
And I'm the same way. I like people that have opinions. I find them more interesting than people that are just like, I don't know, I kind of like this, and I
yeah,
kind of like that, and I'm just going with the flow. I mean,
yeah,
that's maybe nice to hang out with, or I don't even know about that, but I just like people that are like, I like this and I like and I don't like that. You know,
yeah,
why? And I want to understand. And there, once again, that's why we try different things. You can't say market your book the same way you market my book. You can't even market your two books the same way.
no, you
You
can't.
know, Sweet Spot,
Yeah,
totally different story, you
totally.
know,
Yeah,
and my book, I can market it as a sailing adventure, or I can market it as the
several.
birth of a writer, or I
Yes.
can market it as a love story. It's all of those things, you know, but I had to learn that through, you know, as you said, years of being at the helm of or you know, in that sense, in the marketing part, that was my baby. That was what I
Hmm.
did. I got out and hawked it, you know, but
Yeah,
in a
absolutely.
way that was, and I always tell people the reason you hate marketing is because you're not looking at it as sharing something. When you find something really
That's a
cool,
good point. That
a
is a really
product
good,
at the
yeah,
store, you can't wait to tell your friends about it. When you read a great book, you can't wait to tell your friends about it.
good point, Jen.
So when you have something good, that's why I love writing book reviews. I love saying, oh, this book made me cry. This book made me laugh. This book made me think. This book made me, you know, see something I'd never thought before.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I do. I know that you're an avid reader, and so your book reviews are something interesting that you decided to do, and I want to I want to run it by you. You do not, if you read a book and you don't like it, you don't review it. Talk a little
Exactly.
bit about that.
You know, two reasons. One is that see what's that meme? You can never know where someone else is coming from.
Yeah,
Like you can criticize them, but you don't know if there could be some real reason that they have this flaw or this problem when they're presenting something in some way. And as a psychiatrist, right, you don't judge somebody right away. You kind of wait and find out what's going on with them. Well,
right.
I feel that way about all authors. No author is going like, I think I'm going to write a boring book or a unbelievable book or an implausible book with a ridiculous plot, you know. No one does that. I think for me, I just feel like I'm not contributing anything to the conversation by saying I found this book boring or I didn't finish it or I thought it was poorly written. I'm not going to sit down and work with now. If somebody comes to me as an author and I read their manuscript and I find flaws in it, then I can say, okay, I love this, but here's where I get lost, or I love this, but it takes
Hmm.
too long to get there. That I can help them, but as a reviewer, I can't help them. All I can do is make them feel bad. And there's just enough. There's enough of that out there. There's enough, you know, criticism. So what I love doing is sharing something that I loved, and
Positivity.
I think
Yeah,
somebody else.
yeah.
Yeah, just what I don't want to get up in the morning to make somebody else feel bad, and it does. I mean, we're
Of
we're
course
easily
it does.
hurt. There are babies.
I just read this in PW last week, and I posted it. Um, there are 3 to 4 million books published annually. 3 to 4 million published annually, as opposed to the old days before social media, before indie publishing, when it was pretty much confined to New
Half
York.
a million. We used to say half a million, and we thought that was a lot. Now it's like,
Yeah, I used to say 125,000, really, from the major
yeah,
five. So whatever it
yeah,
is,
yeah.
you know, whether it's a half or 125,000, boy,
The difference between now.
Yeah, and so to get your book, yes, it's easier to publish. You can
Yeah.
publish. I tell this to uh, writers that I edit. If you want, you can go ahead
Mhm.
on Amazon and publish this right now. Um,
Right.
but you'll likely not sell unless you have either an enormous amount of talent in marketing, and some people
Right.
do. I mean, marketeers,
Right.
many marketeers have gone to writing just to sell their marketing. Um,
Right. Right.
they have. I mean, the field
Especially
is
if there's some, yeah, if somebody's so good at marketing that they can sell mediocre books, then they're like,
that's what they
gosh, I
do.
could write a mediocre book.
I was working, I got a quick
I've
story. I was
seen it.
working with
I've
someone.
even seen it on
Oh,
TikTok.
absolutely. I was working with someone, Jen, about 10 years ago now. And this was when, self-publishing was just hot, 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 and everyone was wanting to find out
Sure.
more about it. And he said to me, he had a manuscript that he wanted me to read, and I did. We were doing a trade. And so I gave him my feedback. And then he had another manuscript that he wanted me to read. And I said, well, aren't you editing the first one? And he said, no, I'm publishing it. So I did read it. I must say that we did a trade, and so it
Uh-huh.
was quite equitable. But at the end of it, I said to him, "No, this book isn't,
Yeah.
and here's why, X, Y, and Z. You need A, B, and C." And he said,
Right.
no, no, I just need books. It's a new
Right.
world, and
It's
the
a new
algorithm
world.
is what I'm after. And the more books I put out there, the higher my whatever goes up. And I thought, oh man, the literary world is in trouble. It's
Yep.
in trouble.
Yep.
And so I've always remembered that. And I do think that there are many writers out there who are ill-informed. And
Yes.
so what you're doing on your Substack, what I'm doing on my platforms, we're trying to educate because I've got this color hair and your hair is turning. And so we've got a little bit of
Yeah. Yeah.
experience that,
Yeah. Right.
and we're kind, good people, and we've got good resumes. And and so I'm hoping that, especially young writers,
Right.
that they don't try and skip over the essentials, because I don't know how you get better. If they're
Right.
young, they could have long-term careers. And so anyway, that's what I'm trying to do, and I know that you're trying to do similar things. Let's talk a little bit about your editing, though, Jen, because I had you edit Deadly Little Secrets when it came out in ebook form. And talk a little bit about your process of editing, because you now
Sure.
have a page on Substack that's called Editor
Editor
for
on board.
Editor on Board. I was going to say editor for hire. You are for hire,
That
but
too.
you're on board. Yeah, that too.
I'm
Tell us
on
a little
board.
bit,
Yeah.
just a little bit about it,
Yeah.
your
And
process.
what I do is content editing. So it's not everybody thinks editor, it's, the person that looks for the commas and corrects spelling. And that's a very important part of editing.
It is.
And I have done that and I do line editing, but what I do that I think is my calling, let's say,
Hmm.
I really think of it as a calling, is I read the book and I'm looking for structural problems. I'm looking for big picture problems. In other words, is the book all there? Does it have a beginning and a middle and an end? Does
Yeah.
it all make sense? And this is nonfiction or fiction. It isn't just
Yeah.
novels. Same thing with memoir. I remember once I said to something in a class about a story arc, and they said, well, I don't have to worry about that structural stuff because I'm writing nonfiction. I went,
I know.
oh
I got
my
the same
God.
thing. I know.
Yeah, much more so because if you write a book where you're trying to teach about organic gardening, right? I did a
Yeah.
wonderful book on organic gardening with a good writer, and she's done other stuff since then. What is organic soil? What are organic seeds? How do you plant organically? I mean, she took you through. She didn't just jump in the middle and assume you
Yeah.
knew this, so that you could literally learn it from this book. And the same thing with a novel. You want to, who is this person? Where are they? What's
Yeah.
going on? Why did things change? Now we need to build. Now we need a climax. Now we need a crisis. Now we need resolution. We need all those things, but they're going to be different in every book. If it was just, you just do this on page 17, save the cat, great idea. But that whole idea that X many beats will lead you to this point in every book, that's just not the way it is. It's good to know
Right.
all that, but every book is different, right? And
Indeed.
yeah, and I always say that there's no one way to live your life or write your memoir or
It's a
write
good
your
point.
novel or anything else.
You know that I teach memoir and autobiography writing
Hmm.
through the city of Newport Beach and
Right.
also the library. And I teach it as the structure is a three-act play for
Every,
memoir.
yep.
You know,
3 acts.
beginning, yeah, present, complicate,
Yeah.
resolve, and that applies to fiction and narrative
Yep.
nonfiction. And sometimes writers are surprised to hear that, but then I just refer them to memoirs that will show them. If you don't believe
Right.
me, because we only meet once a week and they bring their writing, this is the book that you should read because it's
Right.
similar to that kind of thing. And I don't believe that enough people are studying the craft of writing as
Agreed.
much as they're writing. And I wish that
Yeah,
they
and
would
it
study the
reminds me,
craft.
yeah, the guy you just said, this is good enough. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do instead of one good book, I'm gonna do 8 just mediocre books.
Yeah.
But if I have 8 books out there, everybody says, then I'll sell more books. But the problem is, I remember years ago at the conference, somebody who had had success in one type of book and then said, "Oh, I can do this other thing." Did no looking into it, no, just did this thing. And it was not good.
Yeah.
But the person was so surprised because they'd had success. And this happens all the time.
All the
Like
time.
I wouldn't try and write a children's book without studying how to do
Right?
that. I wouldn't try and do
Right.
a crime novel, like Gail Carline, like she knows what needs to happen in every chapter, and I'm editing it, I can see. Oh, but just when I'm thinking, well, what about, oh, there it is, boom.
Hmm.
That, but it's not, doesn't feel phony, doesn't feel like a template. It's just she knows what needs to happen at certain points. That makes you happy as a reader. You get resolution at the end or whatever,
Absolutely. Yeah,
different
and when
types.
you read the end, you're satisfied.
Yeah.
If it was
Yeah.
sad, you're satisfied because the arc went
Right.
all the way through. If it
Right.
was happy, you're satisfied for the same reason. And that's the job of storytellers, is
Right.
to satisfy readers, or at least readers of their genre. We've only got a couple more minutes, Jen. Talk just a little bit, if you would, about going forward. What do you got going that you want listeners to know about?
Well, I just wrote a Substack yesterday about how
Which
much I've
people should
marketed
read.
this
Yes.
book. So this was yesterday, Friday the 19th. I mean, I'm sorry, it's Friday, it's today.
Yeah.
Like I said, Friday the 20th. I know what day it is. This morning, I wrote it yesterday, came out this morning. I have done 152
Amazing.
events in
Amazing.
these in
Three
these
years or two
not
years?
quite
Yeah, 3 years.
2.5 years.
Wow.
It'll be 3 years in at the end of September. But each one of those things, some were in person, some were typical book signings, some were talks, some were workshops, some were
Yeah.
something where I pitched. Um, I just recently got a follow-up on a thing I pitched like a year and a half ago. Yeah, we want to do that. It's going to come out in May. What? Yeah, okay. But
Yeah.
all that planting of seeds, all that stuff. And this is funny because talk about something that comes full circle. When I was in acting, we used to say there's a million talented actors out there. The ones who make it are the ones who stick with it and can take the rejection.
That's
That you
it.
can take the days when the phone doesn't ring, when you
That's
when
it.
you don't nail that audition, when
Mhm.
you don't get the call back, or even when sometimes in a class when you don't do what you wanted to do in a scene or something, or any of those things. My friend Steve say, as soon as I said my name, they were trying to forget it. In other words, you're standing there, they just looked at you
Yeah.
and they know that you're not right. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a very hard thing to handle. But in publishing, it has been a lifeline because I don't take it personally.
Yeah.
I, I,
Yeah. I
I
had to learn
you're, and
that.
not everyone's going to love my book.
I
I
had to
know
learn
that.
that the hard way, Jen, because when I started out in writing, I wasn't used to being rejected. because I never
Hmm.
was. I really
Right.
wasn't in my professional
Right.
career.
Sure.
And it
Sure.
was tough. And the only reason why I hung in there is because I got a columnist job like right at the beginning of my
Thank God.
career. Yeah. And so then I had to write at least a column a month.
Right.
And so, but it was hard for me because
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive.
Right.
I may
Yeah.
have a tough veneer, but I think most of us are like this. There's a real
Right.
soft, fuzzy
Yeah.
underneath there. And
Yeah.
so in the early days, I had difficulty, but now, of course, all these years later, I do believe that we learn from rejection more than we do from success. I like success, though. I like it. I like it. You and I
Yeah.
could talk for a long
I
time,
know.
but I
I
don't
know.
want people, clicking away from this. So I'm going to end this. And is there anything that's coming up that you are specifically wanting people to know before we say goodbye?
Well, I'm loving that you're doing this. I think it's great to talk about how our experience as humans, whether it's jobs or
Yeah.
hobbies or loves, that we bring to our art. And I'm working on a book about editing. And
Good.
that, it's not imminent, but I'm working on it,
Yeah.
keeping that going. And
Good.
I want it to be like Stephen King's On Writing, only
I
on
love that.
editing,
It's my
where
favorite.
it's a combination of memoir and how to with tips
With
and
him.
practical stuff.
And he
Yeah,
brings you
yeah,
all the way through from his first
yeah,
little publications.
yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah. And
inspiring, but good for
I,
you. That's a
I
great.
hope
Yeah, good.
if I aim for the stars, I can't shoot my foot off, right?
Well, I'm just going to throw this out there right now. If you're looking for beta readers, I
No,
certainly would love
thank you.
to read it when the time comes. Jennifer Silva
Yes.
Redmond, I want people to know that that they should be on Substack, following you. Editor on board if you're in need of an editor. You've got Jennifer. I don't do the editing that she does. I also edit, but
Mhm.
you'll edit a general range of storytelling. I really only
Right.
feel comfortable doing health, wellness, and psychology, and women. I can
Right.
do women all day long. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
if
I've
people
done
are,
everything. YA, I've been doing
I
like
know
the
you do
seventh book of a
everything.
YA series,
Yes.
and I've done fantasy and everything because a good story is a good story.
Good stories, good
And I
story.
read everthing too. I'm
Yeah, you
really
do.
eclectic reader just naturally. So,
It's funny. One last thing before we go. So Jen and I do a workshop at the Southern California
right.
Writers Conference called Pitch Witches. And when someone mentions a book or something, I just look to Jen because I know she's probably
Right.
read it. You are really
That's so fun.
your reading is, I read, but I sure don't read like you. So I would
Well,
recommend you highly to anyone
we
who's
make
looking
such a
for an
great
editor.
team because
We do.
sometimes like somebody will do something and I'm just look right at you like this is so in your ballpark,
Yeah,
so
in
we
my
make a good
wheelhouse,
team.
which is nice.
But once again, you being able to you were on your own stage as a head nurse. I
I
was on my
was.
own stage as an actor and performer, and we can get up there and not feel uncomfortable. So we make it entertaining. And I know people, Judy Reeves says, I go to pitch, which is even if I don't have a pitch, because it's the most entertaining part of the
We like it.
conference.
We enjoy it. We
Yeah,
enjoy what we
we're
do.
helping people.
We're helping people, and we
Yeah,
both really
it's
like to
fun.
do that. And with that, I will end this interview. And thank you very much, Jen, for coming on.
Thanks.
Uh,
Thanks for
and
having me. I appreciate it.
when the next book is out, I hope that this podcast will be here to support you.
Okay, I'll
All
see you
right,
on
Jen.
TikTok
Absolutely. And
and YouTube.
to my listeners, please, if you like this, share it. And if you want an interview, email me. My email is all over the place, so it's really easy
She's
to find
fun
me.
to talk to, as you can
Not
tell.
bad. Not bad. Thanks, Jen.
Bye. Thanks.
And so we're ending, I think this is our fifth session of authors and content creators talking to Marla Miller. And boy, did we talk.
We did.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Okay, good. Mhm. Where is it? Oh God. Oh, I gotta stop it.